Hi guys, today's video is going to be about Venus and Scorpio's compatibility with Venus and Gemini. This is part of my new series on Venus and Scorpio where I look at the compatibility of Venus and Scorpio with each of the other Venus signs. So if you like this series, do give this video a thumbs up. So before I continue with the rest of the video, I wanted to let you guys know that I do synastry chart readings and natal chart readings. So natal chart readings are basically when I look at your birth chart and I look at the different planets, the houses, the aspects, and I tell you what kind of challenges you might be facing in your life and what you can do to move forward. So I basically give you an action plan, something that you can actually do and follow in your life to help you overcome these challenges in your life. I also do synastry chart readings, which are basically called relationship compatibility readings. So if you're already in a relationship or if you're getting into one, you can contact me for a reading. I'll analyze both of your birth charts and tell you what kind of challenges you may face in the relationship and what you can do to overcome them. And I also do tarot card readings. So if you're facing challenges related to your health, your career, your finance, your relationships, your home life, or any other aspect of your life, you can contact me for a tarot card reading. So to get in touch with me for a reading, drop me a message on my Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Venusianscorp. And you can also drop me an email at astroluck111@gmail.com and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I've posted the links in the description box below, so do get in touch with me if you want a reading. Okay, so let's get started. So Venus in Scorpio compatibility with Venus in Gemini. So first of all, those who are new to astrology, what is Venus? Venus is the planet of love. It's the planet of relationships. It's the planet of harmony. It's the planet of beauty. It's about art. It's about music. It's about everything that's beautiful in this life. So that's Venus. What is Scorpio? What is the sign of Scorpio? Scorpio is the sign of digging deep. It rules the 8th house, which is all about transformation, death, taxes, rebirth, very heavy, intense subjects. And Scorpio is a sign that wants to get to the bottom of things. That's why I said it's a sign of digging deep. It's a very intense and very heavy placement when it comes to zodiac signs. Gemini is an air sign. It's ruled by Mercury and its symbol is the twins. And it's a mutable sign. So what happens when you have two people, one who's a Venus in Scorpio and the other who is a Venus in Gemini? What's the relationship going to be like? So Venus in Scorpio, just a little bit about their love style. Venus in Scorpio is very, very passionate, very intense, very loyal when they're in a romantic relationship. They pretty much give their all when they're in a committed relationship and they expect the same thing from their romantic partners. And that's why you find a lot of Venus in Scorpios testing the partner out at the beginning of the relationship because they want to make sure that the partner is the right one for them, that they're not going to just leave them and go. Because if there's one thing that a Venus in Scorpio hates, it's rejection and it's abandonment, So that's a little bit about Venus in Scorpio. Venus in Gemini, it's an air sign. So Gemini is also ruled by Mercury. So these people are very cerebral, unlike a Venus in Scorpio, which is more about intuition and feelings and emotions because it's a water sign. A Venus in Gemini is going to be more about communication, talking things out, discussing problems, being more logical because it's ruled by Mercury. So they're all about thinking things through rather than feeling about it. Venus in Scorpio and Venus in Gemini, it can either be very good or it can be either very bad. And I'll explain why in a little bit, Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio is the kind of placement that likes that assurance from their partner that they're going to stick around because they don't like uncertainty in a relationship. Like a Scorpio is a fixed sign. So, like all the other fixed signs, they like a certain amount of predictability when it comes to their romantic relationships. They want to be certain that the partner is there for them 100% and is not going to really leave them at the drop of a hat. A Venus in Gemini, it's a mutable sign. Gemini is a mutable sign. So, Venus in Gemini, um, its symbol is also the twins. So, there is a dual quality to a Venus in Gemini. They can be a little bit flaky sometimes, not intentionally, but just because they are ruled by Mercury, which rules the mind. So they are in their thoughts a lot. They can think a certain way one day about the relationship, and the next day it can be a completely different scenario with the Venus in Gemini. They get bored pretty easily. I'm not going to lie. Venus in Gemini does get bored in a relationship. They like to always explore new things. They are a curious sign. Gemini is about details. If Sagittarius, the opposite of Gemini, is all about the big picture, then Gemini is about the details. So they are always very curious about their romantic partner. And this curiosity is more of a mental exercise for the Venus in Gemini, where they're trying to figure their partner out, in the sense that they are very curious about a new partner, and it's the same kind of curiosity that they would have for any new thing. So they don't really differentiate between a thing and a person. So that's where the problem lies, because for a Venus in Scorpio, even they are very curious when when they're in a new relationship, or if they're getting to know somebody. But for a Venus in Scorpio, this is not just curiosity. They're really trying to get to the bottom of who you are as a person. So that is not just curiosity for a Venus in Scorpio. They're really trying to figure you out at a very deep soul level. But for a Venus in Gemini, it's like a new project. They want to see what makes you tick, what makes you irritated, what makes you angry, what kind of buttons to push to get you to do certain things. It's like, a fun exercise for the Venus in Gemini. They don't take relationships all that seriously unless their sun is in a water sign, or in a more serious placement, or if they have a moon sign in a very, in an earth sign, or a very serious, heavy, intense sign. Usually, Venus in Gemini is not going to take relationships very seriously. For them, it's all about the exploration. Mercury is also a trickster, in mythology. So these people, they can be a little bit flaky. They are prone to playing some games when they're in a romantic relationship, and a lot of the times they don't really mean to cause harm to the partner. They don't want to hurt the partner, but then it's just in their nature to not be able to stick around for too long, because they always are running after the next shiny thing. So when they find something else that piques their interest, they're going to leave this partner behind and move on to the next thing. And that is pretty much death. That's probably the worst thing that a Venus in Scorpio can ever experience, because Scorpio likes longevity in the relationship. They want to know that you're going to stick around. They want to know that this relationship is for the long haul. So the last thing they want is to be taken. Treated like an exercise or like a new project by somebody. And a Venus in Gemini does have a tendency to do that. They're very curious by nature. They like puzzles, and a new person in a romantic relation is pretty much like a puzzle for them that they need to figure out. And this is sort of like an intellectual exercise for them. It's not so much that they really feel strongly about their partner, or they're very loyal or caring. It's not really about that. For a Venus in Gemini, it's more about the mental exercise. Like, how can I get this person to do the things I want them to do? Or how can I really figure out this person? It's like a puzzle to a Venus in Gemini. And because Gemini is a mutable sign, their opinions about the relationship, their where they stand about you in the relationship, that's going to change pretty often. And that is very unsettling for a Venus in Scorpio, because a Venus in Scorpio, to be honest, a Venus in Scorpio doesn't mind taking things slow because they actually like it like that, but they don't want it to be where they've spent months or years in a relationship and then they still don't know where the Venus in Gemini stands in the relationship. That's going to be very, very unsettling for a Venus in Scorpio, because they're going to feel like they've wasted their time, and that's the last thing that a Venus in Scorpio wants. A Venus in Gemini is not very deep like a Venus in Scorpio. Like a Venus in Scorpio, when I say deep, I mean that they really go to the depths of the relationship. They like to dig deep, they like to analyze things, they like to look at you and see who you really are as a person. They see through to your core. And a Venus in Gemini is not really that deep, they're more in their mind. So to them, relationships are not to be taken very seriously. For them, it's a light-hearted, fun journey in life. That's how they like to treat their relationships. Um, Also, a Venus in Gemini is the kind of placement that will really want to go very quickly into the relationship. They're quite impulsive by nature, so they like to jump headlong into the relationship, which is again going to be very awkward for a Venus in Scorpio, because Scorpio generally likes to take things slow. They like to observe you in a variety of scenarios, do a lot of tests on you, figure you out, and see how you act in different situations. So, Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio generally likes to take things slow. And a Venus in Gemini doesn't have time for that. Venus in Gemini does not have the patience. That's one thing that a Venus in Gemini really lacks. They don't have a lot of patience. They like to jump in headfirst into the relationship. And also, because Gemini rules the third house of communication, Venus in Gemini is going to be actually very charming. They're going to use their words, they're going to use their communication to really charm the Venus in Scorpio. They're going to say things to the Venus in Scorpio that makes them feel like there is really some potential to have a good relationship. But actually, the Venus in Gemini doesn't really mean these things. To them, it's a fun exercise. It's something that they do for fun, like as a hobby. They treat it like a project, like I said before. So they're going to say a lot of things that make the Venus in Scorpio feel like, wow, this person really knows me, they really understand me. And, the Venus in Scorpio is going to feel like, okay, maybe this person really understands me, and they're also going to start getting into the relationship. But after a point of time, the Venus in Scorpio is going to realize that the Venus in Gemini is really not into the relationship, that they're really not as committed or as intense or as passionate about the relationship as the Venus in Scorpio. And that's going to really hurt them in the long run. So Venus in Scorpio is going to feel like they wasted their time, they wasted their energy, they wasted their intensity and everything on a person who, so they're going to start feeling that the Venus in Gemini has sort of taken them for a ride, and they're going to feel betrayed, like the other person stole their time and energy. So overall, I really don't personally think that this is a good match. It could work out if the Venus in Gemini has a lot of earth, has a lot of other water placements in their chart, but generally I feel like this is not a very good combination for the long term. So guys, that's my take on Venus in Scorpio, compatibility with Venus in Gemini. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can click on the subscribe button at the bottom of this video, and you can also click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button, so that whenever I post a new video, you get a notification in your inbox and you can stay tuned to all of my updates. So stay tuned for this series. The next one is going to be Venus in Scorpio, compatibility with Venus in Cancer. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and see you in my next video. Bye.